So that was kind of strange that initially, before she did the interviews, she said Harry was the one that was bullying her. And now she says Harry has been lovely. This is the reason why this is so close. Oh, this piqued my attention is that it makes it really difficult for those women that have been in the same situation and want to speak out, right? Because now the situation, when it unpacks itself and it turns out that the situation is what many suspect it is, that Sophie's been positioned to, or she's being empowered um, to attack Harry and Meghan via this charity, then it makes it difficult for a lot of women, especially black women, who want to come out and say, listen, this has happened to me. The reason I'm not, so keen to partake in productively partake in certain situations is because this is happening quite regularly to a lot of people, and nobody seems to pay attention to it. Tomorrow is going to be, a dog whistle that, oh, here's another Sophie. I think that's what bothers me the most about the situation. But, I'm just a spectator like everybody else. I'm not close to it. Those who are close to it know what it is. I just think it's unfortunate because Harry and Prince Aso have been, from what I've heard or from what I've read, I don't have first-hand exposure to it, but from what I've read, they've been doing a lot of good work with Sentebale. So for them to have to pull away from the charity and the whole debacle of the story around it, and now it becoming this big scandal, a salacious scandal centered around Harry and Meghan as a couple, and on the back of a TV show, albeit a very successful TV show, but it's a TV show, right? At the end of the day, you have a TV show on the one hand, and on the other hand, you have arguably an impoverished kingdom that could take all the help it could get, right? And you had people that were actively, trying to make life better for people in that kingdom, and now it's suddenly centered around, you know, things that are not directly correlated to what the mission was about in the first place. So yeah, so that's what I've been thinking about. I'm just really watching the situation very closely, and I think it's a good time to talk about these things because um, I think before we were a lot of people were too scared to actually verbalize a lot of these things because we were in a holding pattern, especially in South Africa, where we're all pretending that everything is great, and if you speak out about something, you see everything as, for example, you see everything as racism, or you see everything as related to race. So now I think with the issue with the whole AfriForum going to America and the whole activity on social media and the way people have been engaging with each other, I think we can finally be honest about what's really happening in the country and saying, as a person who is in this position, as a person who stays in a township, as a person who's black, as a person who's colored, as a person who's white, these are my views, this is how I'm living, and this is what is bothering me, and this is what is happening, right? So it's no longer about hiding behind we're all together, when some of us are comfortable and some of us are really burning and some of us are really working our asses off with very minimal, results, when others don't even have to lift a finger, and abundance follows them. So I think this is a good opportunity to be talking about these things, and I'm going to be talking a lot more myself about some of my experiences and some of the things that I see, and what my view of them is. I think the main thing that I want to focus on is the small business environment in the country and the behind the scenes of what really happens, right? I mean, before, if you watch my channel right now, before I used to talk about, some ideas about how young people, all people actually, especially black people, especially people in the townships, can really take advantage of the environment to build businesses and really become employers, right? So that we can accelerate our development. But having been doing this full time for 6 years, there are things that I've seen that just puts a person in a position where it appears impossible, right, to be a productive member in this country, especially if you're black, especially if you're black and come from the township, right? Um, some of us have had the privilege of working in corporate and building up some resources to try and venture into other things. And if it's difficult for us, you can imagine how much more it's difficult for somebody who hasn't had any opportunity at all and hasn't had any opportunity to obtain higher learning for in-demand skills and stuff like that. So that's the area where I want to talk about things, and I want to expose people that are doing really great things and what their challenges have been, so that we can build a picture. I'm a numbers person, or not numbers, data person. I love data. Like, data is everything to me. I analyze patterns according to data, what the data says, even about relationships, romantic relationships. That's another area that interests me, but I'll talk about that another time. So, what the data is saying. So, if you have more people that are coming forward and saying, this is what I've been doing in my space, small business wise, and these are my experiences, then you can collate that data and you can draw a picture of what really is happening. If you talk to other people, they'll tell you, and if you talk to a lot of people, let me say, who've had experience in this area, they'll tell you that the objective is to make it seem like something's happening without actually making sure something is happening, right? So it is to make it seem like we're trying to cultivate an environment where young people, especially young black people, because we are an 80% black country, black African country, so it's to make it seem like we're making inroads when nothing is actually happening, especially for those, for those of us that we're trying to cultivate businesses that are mainly developmental and are directed at owning some small portion of the means of production. How difficult it is to actually do that, right? So you can talk anecdotally from your experience. I think it makes more sense, or it's much more impactful when when we've got data and you've got people that are coming and saying, this is my experience, and breaking that down into data points and actually collating that data and actually deriving insights from it, so we can see the picture of what's really going on. Once we've got the data and insights, I'm not quite sure what we'll do with it. I think I've come to a point where I'm a proponent of getting help from wherever you can get it, even outside of the country, and getting it in a productive way to say, no, I'm actually not going to complain. I'm going to build something that's going to address this, or I'm going to build something that's going to address that. What I'm not going to do is be cryptic about what I'm trying to do. Is to be open to say, this is what is happening. This is a group of people that cannot access this specific environment, and I want to do something about that, right? So I think, like I was saying earlier, the current context of the country, of the situational context of the country right now, allows us to be more, all of us, to be more vocal about what's really happening in different sectors of the country, in health, in medicine, in agriculture, in business, in society at large, and actually talk about these things openly and stop hiding behind. We're just trying to be unified and move forward, when some of us have got 15 legs and some of us don't have any legs, are actually crawling on the floor. I think it's a time for us to be honest about stuff, and the more honest we are, I think the easier it would be to actually move forward in a productive way, where the country can actually prosper, right? I've said a mouthful, so I'm going to stop here. Yeah, so I'm back. I'm here. Let's talk. Let's do this.